Hello and welcome to Barb Talks. Today we're going to be picking some of the pears out of the pear tree because they're starting to drop to the ground. So I'm going to do some picking today. Consider what you wear when you're going to be doing picking. I like wearing a hat because when you're up in the leaves of the tree, bugs and dirt and stuff's falling all over your face and hair. So at least having a hat, flexible hat like this, you can kind of get in and around stuff. That's a protection. I like wearing a long sleeve shirt and keep the bugs from bothering you, and you don't snag yourself on the tree limbs or don't get spiders and stuff. So a nice button up long sleeve shirt is good for picking. And then for pants, I usually wear shorts, but you could also wear long pants if you like doing that better. And sturdy shoes, some really comfortable shoes that are very sturdy. I have garden clogs that have my orthotics inside of them so that I can make sure I'm staying sturdy on the ladder. You don't want to be wearing flip-flops or something or even like really heavy boots. That might be uncomfortable because usually in the summer it's hot. So wear something comfortable but yet also very sturdy. When I was growing up, my dad had a cherry orchard, and all around us were apple orchards. So I did quite a bit of picking of cherries, harvesting them, as well as thinning of apples. And also picking of apples. So again, I was a farm girl, so I knew how to do all those things, learned how to do all those things. One of the things that my dad at his orchard, he had these harnesses that in the old days, we used to have a metal bucket attached to the bottom of the harness by these little clips here. But now I just have a bag because it makes it easier going up and down the ladder than having a big bucket in front of me. I've tried to keep my trees pruned in such a way that I can either pick them standing from the ground or from a small ladder. And if I can't get it from the small ladder, I've made it an open center to the tree. So, not the pear actually is fairly open, but I can't climb inside of it. My apple trees, I've made them open center so that I can actually climb inside the tree to get some of the inner apples should I need to. But today I'm going to be picking the ripe ones, leaving the other ones up to ripen a bit more. And while I'm up there, since my pear and apple trees are like right next to each other, sometimes when I'm reaching into one, I can also reach into the other at the same time. So let's get some picking done. One of the first things you need to do is set your ladder. Now this is on a slight hill, so I need to set this ladder in such a way that it isn't tilting, because you want to make sure that your ladders don't tip over when you're in them. So we'll just straighten that up a bit and make sure that it has a firm grasp on the ground. That is a better placed ladder. And my goal is to get some of the brighter yellow ones out of there. This year, our pear tree has some sort of a fungus on the leaves. And I asked a master gardener about that. And she said that as long as they're only taking up a little bit of space per leaf, that it won't affect the tree or the fruit, and that this particular fungus kind of goes back and forth between different pear trees one year, and then it was a different tree a different year. So she said even if I'd been removing these thinking, I'll just remove the sick ones, but she said that really doesn't work on this particular fungus. As long as it doesn't take up the whole leaf, there's still enough energy in the leaves to be able to do what they need to do. But it looks funky. So, ladder is set. Time to climb up. This is about a 5-foot ladder from Costco. While I'm up here, I also do a little bit of cleaning up the tree. Can't help but do that. This yellow fruit just came right off. You've got a pear, and you just lift it up. If it comes off from just lifting up, like if the pear's hanging on the tree like that, and you lift it up and it comes off, that means it's ready to be picked. So if you lift it up and it doesn't come off, That means it's still flexible in there and it wants to stay on the tree. So that is an easy way to see if your pear is ready to come off or not. I'll just put the pear right in my little sack. So I just go and cover the pear. They do look a little funky this year. So even though the lady told me that the fungus didn't affect them, I'm wondering if it did. I mean, look at that. It just looks odd. I figure as long as it tastes good, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Here's one that I bent up and it didn't come off. So that one's still going to be in the tree for a while. That one came off. Huh. Looks like Ghostbusters, that marshmallow guy. So my dad, being an orchardist, he taught me how to prune trees as well. And on a pear tree, I prune in the early spring. Actually, all my trees I prune in the early spring, but then I also end up pruning as I go. You can see up here, there's just a lot of little shoots that have come up. And let's see if I can find next year's fruiting. Here you go. This is next year's fruiting spur right here. See, there's a little dot in the middle of it. So that's going to be next year's fruit coming out of there. Next year's fruit coming out of there. So we'll want to leave this little one on. Pruning is really an art form to open up the tree so that the sunlight can get through to ripen the fruit. Oh, look at this. Birds have been busy. There's a ripe fruit that they've got to before I did. Let me see if the one behind it's ready to come off. I might leave that one for the birds. And I'll take another misshapen fruit for myself. I don't mind sharing. Oh, this is a nicely shaped one, and it's ready to be picked. Now, if I were selling these in a store, obviously I would be caring more about what they looked like. But since I eat them fresh at home and also turn them into apple and pear sauce and juice, I don't really care what they look like. I care what they taste like. And this particular pear tree is I think it's the Orca. And it was developed in the Pacific Northwest. So it's made for our particular climate and area. Being in the garden is such a relaxing thing. And I think just I have one pear tree and then I have another one spliced into it. I used to have 2 pear trees in my yard, but one of them died. But before it died, I had a neighbor who so kindly came in and took a graft off of the living part of the dying tree and put it on to this tree. So I have some blossoms from both to pollinate. So that's why I get fruit on this tree. I get 2 varieties of fruit. But yeah, I enjoy having my own fruit tree. Not so much that it's overwhelming. Really odd shaped pears this year. Looks like there's a face in that one. And look at this one. Looks like a butt. Got a butt in my pear tree. That one's not ready yet, so we'll leave that one in. Here's some of my Wainuchi early apples that I picked a little bit earlier. Look at how huge those are. And some of the pears that came off earlier. And now I'm going to dump what I just picked into this. And this is today's pear haul. Some really nice looking pears in there and some funky looking pears, but I'm happy with that. And we still have more to pick when they ripen up. Thanks for being part of my pear picking today, and thanks for watching Barb Talks. They're okay, but they really need to soften up a little bit. Flavor's there, texture not quite yet.